Good morning, dear students. So let us continue from the remaining part of chapter 9, Forces and Laws of Motion. Today we will start from the second law of motion. The first law of motion indicates that when an unbalanced external force acts on an object, its velocity changes. That is, the object gets an acceleration. We would now like to talk about how the acceleration of an object depends on the force applied to it and how we measure a force. So let us recount some observations from our everyday life. During the game of table tennis, if the ball hits a player, it does not hurt him, isn't it? On the other hand, when a fast moving cricket ball hits a spectator, it may hurt him. A truck at rest does not require any attention when parked along roadside. But a moving truck, even at a speed as low as 5 meters per second, may kill a person standing in its path. A small mass, such as a bullet, may kill a person when fired from a gun. These observations suggest that the impact produced by the object depend on their mass and velocity. Impact means effect, the outcome of a body depends on what? Its mass, which is denoted by m, and velocity v. Similarly, if an object is to be accelerated, we know that a greater force is required to give a greater velocity. Obviously, in order to give more velocity, you need more force on it. In the other word, there appears to exist some quantity of importance that combines the object's mass and its velocity. This property is known as momentum. So momentum is actually represented by a small p, and it is equal to the product of mass and velocity. Fine. That is what is mentioned here. The product of mass and velocity v is called momentum, which is represented by p, that is equal to m into v. Momentum has both direction and magnitude. How come it has direction and magnitude? Because velocity is a vector quantity which has your direction also and magnitude also. Now the SI unit of momentum you can derive. SI unit of momentum, P is equal to m into v, and the unit of mass is kilogram into meter per second. That is the unit of velocity. So it will be kilogram meter per second, or we can write as kilogram meter second to the power minus 1, which is written here. Okay, and so it is therefore clear that a force also produces a change of momentum. How is it done? How are they saying that a force produces change in momentum? Because a force brings change in velocity, isn't it? And when velocity will change, momentum will also change, because momentum depends on velocity. Clear? So let us consider a situation in which a car with a dead battery is to be pushed along a straight road to give it a speed of 1 meter per second, which is sufficient to start its engine. So a car is not working, maybe the battery is not in a good condition, so they want to push it and ignite the engine. If one or two persons give a sudden push, it hardly starts, but a continuous push over some time results in gradual acceleration. When we are pushing, the velocity is changing, isn't it? Earlier it was at 0, then maybe it is attaining 10 meter per second velocity. So when there is the change in velocity give rise to acceleration. That is how gradual acceleration of the car gives it the speed. It means that the change of momentum of the car is not only determined by the magnitude of force, but also by the time. So now here, not only a force, they are telling not only a force is responsible to bring a change in the position of the body, even time is responsible. Okay, time is responsible. Thus it can be concluded that force necessary to change the momentum of an object depends on the time rate at which the momentum is changed. Now finally, the second law of motion states that the rate of change of momentum of an object is proportional to applied unbalanced force in the direction of force. This is your second law of motion. So you need to write what is momentum. Please write the notes of what is momentum with the proper notification, like how it is represented by P, which is equal to m into V, what is m, what is V, and what are the units of momentum. Then you will write what is the second law of motion states. Then coming on to the mathematical formulation of the second law of motion. Suppose an object of mass m is moving along a straight line. See, along a straight line, generally the tendency of a body is always to move in a straight line. Okay. So it is uniformly accelerated to velocity v in time t by the application of a constant force F throughout the time t. The initial and the final momentum of the object will be P1, which is equal to mu initial. So initial means u. U is the initial velocity, and P2, that is the final final momentum, which will be the product of mass and the final velocity. Now change in momentum. How come change in momentum is derived? Change in momentum is derived by P2 minus P1. Means actually P1 is mathematically 0 here, because if u is 0, then P1 will be anyway 0, isn't it? But we are assuming some values to it. So we will say that change in momentum is directly proportional to P2 minus P1. Now P2 is mv and P1 is mu. Therefore, we can say that change in momentum is equal to taking m constant v minus u. Now, rate of change of momentum. Whenever we talk about rate, so it means we need to divide momentum with t. So, rate of change of momentum is m into v minus u by t. Now, here v minus u by t, if you see, this is equal to a, which we have studied in the previous chapter. Change of rate of change of velocity is acceleration. Okay, so now finally the force applied is directly proportional to m into v minus u by t. Removing this proportionality constant, this is the symbol of proportionality, this is removed here. So I am putting an equal to sign and a k. This is the way of removing it, because we cannot solve anything till this symbol is there. Clear? So now it will be equal to k into m v minus u by t. Now v minus u by t, as I told, it is a, so f is equal to kma. Now how come a? You know that is acceleration. The quantity k is a constant of proportionality. SI units of mass and acceleration are kg and meter per second square. This is known to you. The unit of force is so chosen that the value of the constant k becomes 1. K is constant of proportionality. Now the unit of force, we want it to make it 1. It should be unit. 1 unit means it should be 1. So then what are we going to do? How come F will become 1? For this, 1 unit of force is defined as the amount that produces an acceleration of 1 meter per second square in an object of mass 1 kg. So 1 unit of force is equal to k into mass, we are taking 1, and acceleration also we are taking 1 meter per second square. Thus the value of k becomes 1, isn't it? It will be equal to what? It will be equal to 1 equal to k into 1 into 1. So 1 will be equal to k. That is how the value of k is becoming 1. It can be asked, how can you make the value of k, that is the constant of proportionality, 1? Then you will state that k will only be 1 when we take 1 unit of force and the value of mass is 1 kilogram and acceleration is 1 meter per second square. So finally, when k becomes 1, then we can write F is equal to m into a, because earlier we wrote F is equal to k because k is equal to 1. So the unit of force is kilogram meter per second square. This is only known as Newton. What is the unit of force? That is Newton, and 1 Newton is equal to 1 kg meter, equal to 1 kg meter per second square. It's written here also, no need to worry. The second law of motion gives us a method to measure the force acting on an object as a product of its mass and acceleration. So finally we came to know that it helps us in calculating the force by the product of mass and acceleration, because F is equal to m into a, isn't it? Product of mass and acceleration. The second law of motion is often seen in action in our everyday life. Now some of the examples are mentioned here. Have you noticed that while catching a fast moving cricket ball, a fielder in the ground gradually pulls his hands backwards with the moving ball? Why is he pulling his hand backward? So that he can increase the time. Because if he will increase the time, the force will be reduced. In doing so, the fielder increases the time during which the high velocity of the moving ball decreases to 0. When he will take more time, then ball will come in his hand in more time, so the velocity of a ball will be reduced. Thus the acceleration of the ball is also decreased, and therefore the impact of catching the fast moving ball is also reduced. Means force which is exerted on his hand, force on his hand will be less and he won't get hurt. That is the reason. If the ball is stopped suddenly, then its high velocity decreases to 0 in a very short interval of time. Thus the rate of change of momentum will be large. Therefore a large force would have to be applied by holding the catch that may hurt the palm of the fielder. In a high jump, everywhere, talking about these terms, the catching something, high jump, there also we dig the sand and we use a cushioned bed. Why? So that when you fall on that place, the time is increased. Again, when the time will increase, the rate of change of momentum will be less, and this decreases the rate of change of momentum, and hence the force will be less, and so that you get less hurt. In high jump also, what you do? You are running with a high velocity and then you jump on a particular place, isn't it? So that is why we are digging the field when you do the high jumps in your school. There also this concept is applicable so that you don't get hurt. So these are explained, the same examples. Then now some things used to be studied here. The first law of motion can be mathematically stated from the mathematical expression for the second law of motion. Second law of motion is F is equal to m into a. Then a is equal to v minus u by t, isn't it? So ft, now this t is going on the opposite side, it is getting multiplied. Ft will be mv minus mvu. That is, when f is 0, v will be equal to u. Obviously, when f will be equal to 0, force is 0. So let us say f into t is 0, 0 will be equal to mv minus mu. So then mv equal to mvu. Now m and m will be cancelled, v will be equal to u. This means that the object will continue moving with the uniform velocity u throughout the time t. If u is 0, then v will also be 0. That is, the object will remain at rest. So from the second law, we derived the first law. The first law stated that a body will continue in its state of rest or uniform motion until and unless acted upon by an external force. So with the help of the second law, we derived the first law. Okay. Now some examples are here. A constant force acts on an object of mass 5 kg for a duration of 2 seconds. It increases the object's velocity from 3 meter per second to 7 meter per second. Find the magnitude of the applied force. Now if the force was applied for a duration of 5 seconds, what will be the final velocity of the object? So first we have to find F. Now here the 3 to 7 meter, so the u is 3 meter per second square initial velocity, final velocity is 7 meter per second square, time t is 2 seconds, m is 5 kilogram. You can see in the questions. Now using the formula, F is equal to what? M into v minus u by t. Using the formula, m is equal to v minus u by t, which is used here, and substituting the values, we will get the value of F as 10 Newton. Now if this force is applied for a duration of 5 seconds, then the final velocity will be calculated by rewriting the formula as final velocity v we have to calculate is equal to u plus ft by m, because in the next step they are asking us to find v. From this only we derived v. Okay, this can be written as ft equal to mv minus mu, isn't it? So it will be ft m v minus u so it will be ft by m, that is equal to v minus u. So then v will be ft by m plus u. That is how they have derived, so don't get confused. On substituting the values, we'll get the final velocity as 13 meter per second. All these questions you are going to solve in your copies by yourself. They are very important. One more, let us see. A motor car is moving with a velocity of 10 km per hour, and it takes, so this is the velocity, it is moving with the velocity of this, time is 4 seconds to stop after the brakes are applied. So here the initial velocity u is 10 km per second, sorry 108 km per hour, and time is 4 seconds. So please see that the units are different. This is in seconds, this is in kilometers. So calculate the force exerted by the brakes on the motorboat if the mass along with the passengers is 1000 kg. So m is also given to you. You need to find the force. So here the initial velocity of the motor car, it was moving with the velocity of 108 km per second, kilometer per hour, which will be changed to meter per second as 30 meter per second, and the final velocity will be 0. So putting all the values, F is equal to m into v minus u by t, you will get the answer. So here the negative sign, when you will calculate now, we will get the answer in a negative value, minus 7500 kg per meter second square or minus 7500 Newton. Negative sign tells us that the force exerted by the brake is opposite to the direction of motion of the motor car. Okay. Now some more are there. Please try to do them yourself. This is only your homework. What is momentum? Define the momentum. Define the second law of motion, its mathematical derivations, and all this. I think 4 or 5 solved examples are there. Please do them.